Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to Stock Trading Pro. How you doing today? We have a lot to talk about today. That's how much is in my mouth right now. I'm trying to get it all out at the same time. We're actually going to have an interesting call today because we kind of, if you watched with the video that we did on Monday and attended the live stream, obviously I appreciate that. But we called what happened, what we were looking to happen this week. We actually said that after last week's rally, what we wanted to see the first couple of days of this week, and we got super specific that 404 was the big level. What a day yesterday where we exploded through 404 and the gap pulled back to just below 404. 404 held the bid in the SPY. And then we had this big rally again towards the later part of the day. And then the Fed came in during the middle of the day. We have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. And I think the most interesting thing we're going to talk about today is building your list of favorite stocks. Now, not favorite because you love the company, favorite because those stocks are easy to trade. And in our community, we call those the go-to stocks. And it's different for everybody because everybody has different risk tolerance. So you saw we're going to talk about Boeing today. We're going to dive a little bit into the Boeing news. But I want to talk about, we're not talking about investing in Boeing. We're talking about right now that Boeing has all of the characteristics of a stock that has just amazing volatility, amazing volume. And you can actually get in there with a little bit of size, which is actually kind of fun too, because when a stock has that rare combination of volatility, volume, and news on a regular basis, it's definitely something you want to be watching. We also gave you a hint about a stock that we talked about last week that's in our game plan. So the theme of today's video is building that list of go-to stocks, which we call your personal ATM. Now, are you watching and trading those stocks every single day? Well, yes and no. You're definitely watching them every day, but it doesn't mean you're trading them every day. Each of those stocks have the potential to be in play every day. So if you have a list of, let's say, 3 to 10 stocks, on any given day, 1, 2, 3 of them might be in play for that entire day, maybe even different pockets of opportunity during that day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're actually got a headline that I want to hit you with right away here, which is this. The markets haven't got the message. Okay, recession looms, market hasn't got the message. That's a really powerful statement. That's the Wall Street Journal. And the thing that is so interesting about that is the fact that everybody's talking about such short-term price action. Nobody's looking at the big picture anymore, even though the big picture is looming, which is why tape reading is such a big part of what we do right now. And we're going to cover that as well. So you can see we got a really action-packed video for you today. I'm really looking forward to this one. And you know what? Actually, just out of curiosity, it'd be kind of fun if you could post in the chat, do you personally have a go-to list of stocks? And maybe type in 1 or 2 of them. Let me know what you trade on a day in and week out basis. And maybe we could all share those kind of ideas here. So stick around. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me here today, everybody. We're going to jump right into it. I want to get into the Boeing news. Obviously, Boeing is one of the stocks that I've been talking about. So if you happen to have a stock that you trade, type it in there. Let's see what you got on your list, see what you got on your radar. Let me see. Hey, John, how you doing? Good morning. Raphael, always a pleasure to see you, pal. Hey, Juan, what's going on, Juan? Hope you're having a great day. Let's see. Who else we got here? Malik. How's it going, Malik? Actually, great to see you. I got to give props. Wait, where is he? Jan? Jan is in our community. Jan does the best game planning by a mile. And if you don't mind, I'm actually going to show you the game planning that Jan does, just to give you an idea of how we level up when we put together our pre-market game plan to pick some stocks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start right there. I want to give Jan a lot of props because he's doing absolutely an amazing job. So let me actually pull this up. I want to pull it up over here. We're going to go into here. And I want to show you, this is actually, you know what, let's go into a meeting from yesterday. I just want to show you exactly what it looks like, okay? This is what game planning at the highest level looks like. This is how much goes into an idea when you are taking a risk in the market during the day and you're going to put your hard money at work. So I just can't say this strongly enough. Jan is doing amazing work on the game planning, and that's where trading conviction comes from. You might feel like you know everything about trading, but maybe you're not making enough money right now. It really comes down to the preparation and putting all those pieces together. So after the market opens, and again, it doesn't matter if it's a day trade or a swing trade, you know what you're going to do. Share size, profit targets, stop loss, where you're going to add to the position, if you're going to add to the position, what you need to see in order to feel confident to hold that trade for a bigger move. All of that goes into the game plan before you even hit the buy button. Jan is doing an amazing job, and I just want to make sure I called him out on it because the game plans have just been amazing. But anyway, I want to get into Boeing right now, which is a big story. Obviously, we talk about this here. If you didn't happen to see it, this stock has had some pretty crazy volatility lately. And when I say crazy, I don't necessarily mean in a bad way. You can see this is actually going back to May 5th. Pretty clean pushes and pauses to the downside. A news story here and then more news yesterday. But the important thing here is you can actually see that the stock has been in play. And this is actually the story where they were, again, I want to say this as clear as possible. I'm not going to say they were cleared. What was found was that it was an intentional act by the pilot and wasn't necessarily a Boeing plane's fault. So obviously, our prayers go out to everybody who got hurt in that situation. But we're talking now about actively looking for stocks to trade, stuff that we can turn into our own personal ATM. And I am watching and trading Boeing pretty much every day right now as one of my personal go-to stocks because it has volatility, because it has volume, because it has excellent profit potential, and it's easy to manage the downside. So I want to walk you through, again, we're going to talk about this right here. This is the story. This is one of the reasons that the stock has had so much good volatility recently. And you can take a look at that story if you want on Seeking Alpha. But this is more important. When we are actively trading, and I know a lot of people don't believe this, but it's absolutely the truth. If you've never traded full time before, or like this is the only way you make a living, for lack of a better way of putting it, you'd be shocked that the traders at the highest levels aren't necessarily trading 10 and 20 and 30 and 40, 50, 60 different stocks. It's like, no, these are the stocks that are the easiest to make money in right now. And then you focus on those stocks. Some newer traders actually only trade one or two stocks for an entire month. And that's the only thing that they trade. And it becomes easier to get paid because you learn how that stock trades. So what I'm trying to walk you through right now is why I'm watching Boeing stock, why it's in my list every day, and then to give you some kind of insights into how you can think about the types of stocks that you're going to trade. One of the hardest parts of trading are finding stocks because you feel like you kind of have to do research every single day. You do have to do research. You do have to do your game plan, but, and this is a big part of that, you eventually have to settle on the stocks that you're comfortable trading. Now, when I say comfortable, it means when you see the signal, you put it on, you're comfortable with the risk. And I want to give you an example of two stocks that look exactly the same. Boeing's going to be one of them. The other stock looks exactly the same. But if you don't know how the stocks trade, you can feel like you put on good ideas in those trades, but get shaken out of the idea, not make money, and then the stock does exactly what you wanted it to do. So I'm going to talk first about Boeing. And obviously, this downtrend in Boeing now is in what we call a box and breaking out of the box. You can see it's down a little bit this morning with the rest of the market. But here's what I want to get across about Boeing right now. A little bit longer term for a potential swing trade. The stock has kind of bottomed out a little bit with a little bit heavier volume. You can actually see that on the chart. You can see the volume expansion over here on the bottom. You can see that the volume has picked up pretty dramatically during this pause. Got back above 132. Let me actually zoom that out a little bit there for you. 130, which is the line in the sand here. So I want to walk you through this stock, how I plan to trade it, and another stock that looks incredibly similar, but it's a little bit more challenging to trade, but actually offers bigger rewards. So bigger challenge, bigger rewards. This one has a little bit better liquidity. You can manage the downside. There's a lot we're going to talk about today. So for a longer term reversal in this bigger move to the downside in Boeing. So I want to pull this out just a little bit more. We're going to go out to the hourly chart and zoom this out so you can see the bigger picture. The stock has been pushing down. Bad news, bad news, bad news. But it's kind of bottoming out over here. So what I'm looking for, and this is how I'm game planning it, I'm looking for it to stay above 130. If it stays above 130, I'm going to be looking to build a position. Now, where am I looking to build a position to? Well, you got a lot of pushes and pauses to the downside. So I'm really looking mostly at this most recent move where it looks like 190 is the most significant recent push. So if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that we like to keep things simple. And I just want to go and find an area that makes sense as a target if I'm looking to bid for this stock on the way back up. And we're basically looking right around that 155 level. So between 130 and 155 is the level. Now, that's how I'm mapping out the trade. And I want to talk about a trade that I lost money on yesterday because it was one of the ideas that I really liked, but it didn't follow through. Very similar type of setup, but in this case here, there's not as much story around earnings or any of those kind of things. So if we take a look at this here again, the potential swing trade that I'm looking for is I need to see Boeing stock. Actually, let me get this off the screen here. I'm looking for Boeing. Get that off of there. I'm looking for Boeing to pause now at this level. Let me pop that back in there right now. This rally right here, in the context of this push, we got a push down and a pause, a push down and a pause. But what I like is this heavier volume. So here's what I want to get across to you right now. This is, remember I just showed you Jan's game planning? This is what separates somebody who's confused from somebody who, it doesn't matter what happens next because I know what I'm going to do no matter what. As long as Boeing stays above 130 and then pauses over the next couple of days on light volume. So I'm actually mapping out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in Boeing to determine my next push higher. So this rally off the low is a bear flag. That's usually a bearish pause, which typically means another push to the downside. But Boeing has this news that's kind of out of the picture right now, which is a big part of the last push down. If we go sideways in Boeing and we stay above 130, and if we go sideways on light volume, that will increase my conviction to start looking to build a swing trade between 130 and 155. If it goes below 130 on heavier volume, we see a big red candle, then I'm going to shift over, not put on that swing trade anymore, but actively day trade it back and forth. So if we take a look at the day trading criteria or the day trading time frame, you can see that the stock has had 130 down to one. That's a $7 move. 126 to 132. That's a $6 move. So Boeing right now has all of the reasons to be looking at it as an active trade. Now, I'm not looking to invest. We're talking about actively trading a stock that's in the news, actively trading a stock that's gotten down to some levels with heavier volume. That is the picture perfect scenario for somebody who's actively trading. And I hope everybody takes this in a way that you kind of take it as a thought process to level up. Start to work harder. And I know a lot of people don't like to do this, but start to look harder at your actual profit and loss statement and see which stocks you're actually making money in versus which stocks you just like to trade. You'd be shocked at how sometimes it's not the same. I know when I first started doing that about 15, 17 years ago, after I had my career started a while, nobody wants to open up their brokerage statement if you're not trading well, but then you get in there and I was like, wow, I feel like I lose money in American Express all the time, but it's one of my most profitable stocks. Do a deep dive into the stocks that you're trading, and I think you'll find it surprising that the ones you like to trade might not necessarily be the ones you're making money in, but the ones you're making money in should get more of your focus. So I want to walk you over now to a different stock, which is, like I said, it looks very, very similar to this stock. And it's one that has had my focus quite a bit, which is this one. Okay. You can see clearly the stock is still in a really strong bearish tape. You can actually see that it's showing some big support down in this $80 level, which is right where it is right now. Now, the difference between this stock and Boeing, and this is a really important distinction. Boeing, you can actually trade with a little bit tighter risk because there's more liquidity and it's not as volatile unless news comes out. SQ stock, Block Inc., can move $2 or $3 before it actually makes its move. So knowing the stock and knowing how you need to trade it, so in other words, that you're going to have to let it fluctuate a little bit more, should influence your position size. So for me personally, for Boeing, I could go in with a little bit more position size because it has a lot less wild fluctuations before it moves. SQ, I'm on the wrong side. SQ tends to have $2 or $3 moves before it takes off. So I'll go in with a little bit less share size on my initial entry. And then when I get feedback from the market, only then do I start to hang on to that position. SQ, as far as a day trading stock, and you can see this was actually a $6.50 move yesterday from the lows. This one can offer some nice opportunity as well. So BA, Boeing, and SQ, two of the top stocks that I've been watching and trading a lot recently. The one stock that's very similar to this is Coin. And I want to give you a little bit of a heads up on Coin, where Coin has been chopping around a little bit. Obviously, it's got the whole Bitcoin background and what crypto has been doing and whatnot. But coin is starting to see massive accumulation. So if you can actually see what we're talking about over here, and where's John A? Right here. John A is really big on watching our stuff and the phases of price action and the smart money footprints. You can actually see that coin is starting to show heavier volume after earnings during a pause. So if you're a regular viewer of our channel, you know that heavy volume pauses imply that the tape has changed. It's kind of like there's a disturbance in the forest. Something that's supposed to happen is not happening, or something that should happen differently. So heavy volume pauses mean the tape has changed. Now, that doesn't mean we just start getting in there and buying, but coin has been kind of churning. And I actually had last Friday in our community, I was explaining a couple of trades that I made in coin where I didn't make money. They were good setups. They should have went down, and they didn't. I was short selling it. So now we're starting to see heavier volume churning in coin, which implies a change of direction. So coin is in my list, but it's been choppy. So I'm waiting for signs of life, which means that I'm waiting for well bid. I'm looking for higher highs, higher lows, closing near the high on the daily chart. When I see that, then I'm going to add coin to that list. And now I'm starting to expand my personal list of go-to stocks. So I hope I'm giving you some ideas, of how to create stocks that you go to every single day. Best case scenario, you have your list of go-to stocks, and those are the ones you make money in on a regular basis. Then you have another list of stocks. Maybe you're reading stuff in the news, like a couple of people talking about Walmart yesterday, which Walmart is the stock that I lost money on yesterday. I was expecting it to hold that 147 level. It didn't. Took a little bit of a hit yesterday morning, made that back after the market opened. Today we have Target actually taking a big hit. So you have your go-to list of stocks. Again, I just gave you a few of the ones that I'm watching right now. Then you also have your news-related stocks. We're in earnings season. Catalysts on earnings are absolutely amazing. Amazing right now. It's just a question of whether you're short selling these stocks that are weak or you're waiting for the stocks that are reporting well. Then you have your big tech stocks, your growth stocks, which really haven't been in play lately. Apple right now is actually down 20% from its highs. That's a big dip to the downside. And actually, Cramer came out and was talking about, I think it's over here, Cramer talking about two beaten down tech names that are posting white hot revenue growth. So we just talked about earnings, right? Earnings and the biggest thing that you're looking for. And one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're looking at earnings is, oh, they beat the number. It's not about beating the number. It's the revenue growth, the earnings per share growth. And then you take it even a step further than that. It's not just the growth, it's what was expected, and did the growth beat what was expected? So they could still grow, but if they expected 10 and they did 8, that's actually a disappointment, even if that was better than the last quarter. So he's talking about white hot revenue growth. And the two stocks that he's talking about right now, one of them is Apple and the other one is NVIDIA. So again, talking about making your list of go-to stocks or go-to ideas that you trade on a regular basis. Earnings is a big one. A lot of professional active traders, earnings come out, you start to read the tape, right? You start to read the tape and then you put on trades in the direction if that story follows through. Look, everybody knows Jim Cramer. He's got all the power in the world to move a stock. Anytime he talks about something the night before, when he starts to get quoted, those stocks are in play. So now me as a professional trader, I'm, again, you wake up in the morning, you pour your coffee, and first thing in the morning, you're looking all over for the news. You're like, what's in play? What potentially has legs? NVIDIA and Apple might have legs today, and they're going to be in my watch list because Cramer's talking about it. Does that mean I'm looking to invest in these stocks for the next whatever time? No, I'm looking to trade them today for the same reasons of volume and volatility. So I also want to take you through another way that you can build your own personal list of go-to stocks. And it really comes down to sector rotation. You know that we're really big on sector rotation. Let me actually pull that up for you right now, because it's a critical part of what we do. So every day, hopefully if you're a regular viewer of the channel, and by the way, if you haven't done so, and obviously if we're providing some value for you, if you could do me a favor, make sure you click down and subscribe. That would actually mean the world to me. It also let me know that you like what we're doing. But when we hop on over into here, sector rotation from day to day, look at the change from heading into Monday to heading into Tuesday to now heading into today on Wednesday. So we kind of hit all the way up to the upside. So another way of building a list of go-to stocks is you track sector rotation, which, gosh, look at energy, right? Then you want to go into a list of stocks. And if we zoom over to energy, you now have a list of stocks that will go into your watch list. And then that becomes your go-to list. So if you are good at managing and tracking sector rotation, like it's actually one of the top skills that we do, and I'll actually post a video at the end of this video to watch a FinViz replay where I showed you how to do sector rotation. Sector rotation, in my opinion, you actually probably, if you don't know anything about hedge funds, but hedge funds sometimes are also known for being a very specific type of hedge fund, or analysts are very specific types of analysts, and you become a specialist in that group of stocks. So that's another way of finding a list of stocks that are your go-to stocks. Now, that sector rotation is a little bit more of an advanced strategy, and it's an advanced strategy simply because you have to learn how to track when sector rotation changes. That's a really big deal. So we're actually going to talk about that right now for a second. So if we go out to the weekly chart and we pull up the sector ETFs, you're going to actually have to start to sort these. Let me actually pull them up for you. Sorry, I was on video there. You're actually going to have to sort them, and we watch them on the weekly chart. So if we start to track the sectors that are showing strength, let me get the volume off of there. This is a bullish U-turn, which is a momentum reversal candle, and this is a well bid candle. So now we know semiconductor stocks are showing well bid. So if we go over and we're tracking and we're looking at it in FinViz, we're going to break this down in two different ways. And by the way, you might want to watch this video one more time because I'm going to walk you through the criteria, how we now dive into and take a look at semiconductor stocks. But it all starts out with the main criteria, which is volume and volatility first, because I keep talking about that today. So when you go to finviz.com, we're going to go over to the screener. Let me actually zoom this in a little bit for you. And we're going to go over here to some of my presets. And we're going to go to my template for the year. Now you'll see here over $15, volatility based on average true range, at least $1.50, and at least 2 million shares per day. Now you can see there's 345 stocks that meet that criteria. You'd be like, I'm not trading 345 stocks. How the heck am I going to follow 345? We're not. We actually just went over and we took a look at semiconductor stocks showing a bid. So that means now we're going to get in and make a list of semiconductor stocks. So we're going to start out here with the sector, and we're going to go to technology. So you're going to see that brought it all the way down to 67 stocks. But we're actually going to take that a little bit deeper, and we're going to go into two different semiconductors. We're going to start out with the broad-based first, and that brought it down to 15. Now, we're also going to go over here, and we're going to pull up some minimum criteria. So if you happen to be a swing trader, the minimum criteria that we use when we look to buy stocks, I look for them to be above the 50-period moving average. So we just whittled it down to the SMH ETF representing the semiconductors are showing 2 weeks of momentum. Last week was a reversal. Let me show you that a little bit better here. Last week was a bullish U-turn. This week we're following up with well bid, which is higher highs and higher lows. Now you can see they're down a little bit this morning. That's fine. This is more about finding ideas for the bigger picture. So we took semiconductors and then we broke it down with the minimum criteria. And now we broke it down here. Now we're also going to break it down a little bit further and take a look at which ones are also above the moving average. And there's only 7. Now we're going to break it down by performance, and we're going to go by the month. And you can see STM. So now we're going to pull up the charts and we're going to take a look and see which ones are worth our time really right now. AMD is breaking out on heavier volume. Broadcom just broke out of this trading range. ON is breaking out of a trading range. Micron is breaking out of a trading range. NXPI is breaking out of a trading range. Looks like ADI needs to have a little bit more room to the upside. Now, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying I'm going in and buying all these stocks today. What I am walking you through, which, and again, I'm replying to a lot of the comments that we get, which, by the way, if you have any comments, leave them below the video. What we're trying to do here is help you create a framework so that you always have opportunity. That's the big thing. If you're going to run your business and be a money manager, you need to know where the money's flowing in and flowing out. So the sector rotation strategy is a way of boiling down all the thousands of stocks on Wall Street into which are the hottest stocks right now. When you add the hottest stocks right now and understand when it changes, that's a big deal, right? They might be hot right now, but how do we know how it changes? That's a big part of tape reading that we teach in our boot camp. And when you add the rotation of the hot stocks with your list of go-to stocks that you trade every day, you should have opportunity to make money on a regular basis. Doesn't mean you're going to make money every day, but you're positioning yourself to be in the stocks that have the greatest chance to have movement, and you're aware of them because you did the research. Now, when I say research, it simply means doing exactly what we just did. The next step, you'd obviously go and say, okay, before I put these stocks in my watch list, is there any news? Is there any earnings come out? Is there anything I need to be aware of? If you have clear sailing and nothing is in the way, nothing is pending, any of those kind of things, then you put those stocks in your watch list, and those are the ones that you're going to watch either as day trades or as maybe a little bit longer term swing trade or a position trade. Now, that sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like a lot of work, but you know what? You want to make a lot of money? Got to do a lot of work. That's the way it works. Look, we all want that unlimited upside, the potential of what the stock market can bring us. But what we really want is control. We want control over the outcome. We want control over the results. We want to be the reason that we make money. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people thought that they were the reason they made the money when the market was going straight up in 2020 and 2021. The market reversed in 2022, and a lot of people kind of found out that that was the market and it wasn't them. So if that's you and you're a little bit confused, overwhelmed, and maybe even hanging on to some positions that you knew you should have took a stop loss on right now, watch this video again, because my goal and my mission with this video today was to give you some structure so that you have control over whether or not there's a good chance you're going to make money. And isn't that really what we want? We want control over the process, which ultimately gives us control over the outcome. And the outcome that we all want, look, we all want that side gig or maybe full-time gig that the stock market has the potential to give us. So we talked about building your own list of go-to stocks. We talked about sector rotation. We talked about breaking down individual sectors. And then we did a little bit of a deeper dive into this semiconductor group. And if you want, you can take a snapshot of this, because this is actually a pretty good breakdown where we went deeper into technology, minimum price, above the 50-period moving average, and then we put this criteria in there as well. Now, what's kind of cool about this is if you want to expand this even a little bit more, and we do a deep dive coming into today, we could take a look at energy and basic materials and do the same kind of thing. So if we go over here and we take a look at energy, the challenge with energy right now, as you can see, almost 24 stocks. The challenge with energy stocks right now, while they've been the strongest group, they're a bit extended. So if I show you, actually, you know what? Let me show you this right now. So if you can see here, we have a legend when I give the list of stocks to trade during the day. And one of the challenges is this, is where a stock will meet the criteria of what we call a bullish echo, which is an obvious buying opportunity. Long means buying opportunity, but too far from the optimal entry. It's okay for a day trade. So we're seeing that right now in a lot of these energy stocks. And you can see 24 stocks met that criteria. They're a little bit extended from the perfect entry. The perfect entry, for example, if we take a look at, let's say, ExxonMobil, and we go to the daily chart, the optimal entry was here on this bullish U-turn, which was $6 ago prior to this breakout. So these ideas are still valid, and you can see they're bouncing a little bit today, but these stocks would be more geared towards a day trade than a swing trade, which actually brings me to another question. Somebody asked our support team yesterday, when I obviously just got a sneak peek at the list of stocks that I'm having in my game plan today. When we create the list of stocks, we have all of the ideas come from the bigger picture. I want to go where the dominant order flow is, and then I'm choosing those. And they all qualify as swing trades unless they're a bullish echo, which is what we just showed you, which means if the optimal entry is here and it's already gone this far, I can still day trade that stock, but I'd need to wait for a pause before it becomes my next swing trade. But all of those stocks that are in my swing trade list, I can still day trade those. And think about why. If I think that stock's going up over the next 5 to 7 days, of course it qualifies as a stock I consider day trading today, because I think it's going up. So there's that mix between, is it a swing trade versus a day trade? And it really comes down to how far is it from the optimal entry. The only other thing that you need to consider for day trade versus swing trade when you're building out that list of stocks that's your personal ATM is liquidity. So I want to show you what that means here. I'm going to go over to the charts here, and we're going to go back over here. So when I'm building this out and I have a list of average volume, and you can see here, I normally look at 2 million because I like to trade size in the positions that I trade. For swing trades, for day trades, I like average of 2 million because I want more liquidity. I want to be able to get in and get out pretty much where I expect to. When you have stocks that have a little bit less liquidity, let's say barely do 1 million shares per day, there's not as many shares at every price level, it doesn't trade as much. You can still swing trade those ideas, maybe even day trade them, but that means that your position size has to be worked a little bit because the liquidity is not there. Now, when I say liquidity, it means if I try and get out of that trade quickly with, let's say, 2,000 shares, if there's less shares at each price level, I'm going to knock that stock down. And what I thought was a profitable trade is not because nobody else was trading it. So how many shares per day will also influence the stocks that you put into your personal watch list based on over 2 million or less than 1 million. So less than 1 million, I'll still swing trade those, but I'll think twice about day trading. That's just my personal criteria. Over 2 million, either way. But what's kind of exciting about this is if you think about it, we just filtered thousands and thousands of stocks on Wall Street down to the ones that meet. This is obviously just a small piece of the criteria, but just the small part of the criteria that says all of those stocks don't matter, only stocks that meet this criteria. And that, my friend, is one of the biggest things that people do wrong. You look at everything as opposed to looking for something. And that's why, quite frankly, look, I'm going to brag a little bit. We have a lot of people here in our community. That's one of the reasons that our community has reliable opportunity and feels pretty much every day we can make money if the market moves. It's because we're putting the stocks in our game plan that give us the best chance to make money because we understand order flow and tape reading. We're not trading everything. We're only looking for something. So I'm going to challenge you right now. Ask yourself, am I looking for the same thing every day with the same criteria, or am I all over the place and getting all over the place results? Remember what we say all the time. If you know what you're looking for, you're not lost anymore. And that's a big part of what we do and a big part of what we teach. The very first thing that we do is we set out, here's what order flow is, here's what tape reading is. Let's set up your charts and your watch list so that you understand how to track and piggyback the smart money. But if you don't have that set up first, the market's going to look chaotic, and that's the kind of results you're going to get. You're going to feel overwhelmed when it really comes down to just being prepared. So that's what we got for you, everybody, today. I gave you a quick screenshot. You probably, actually, you know what? I'll give it to you one more time. You can take a screenshot of this if you want. This is the list of stocks that we're looking at on both sides of the tape today. Some long, some short. You can see some of the stocks that meet the bullish echo criteria. If you want to take a look at those stocks and add them to your personal watch list today, there's a lot to do today. So we started out today talking about the stocks that are in my watch list every day. We talked about Boeing, whether or not Boeing is the best stock to buy now for the long term, doesn't matter. We're talking about active trading. We talked about the difference between Boeing and SQ stock block and how they look the same, but you have to trade them a little bit different. So I hope today I'm inspiring you to think about how you're building. Do you even have a personal list of stocks that are your go-to stocks no matter what the market does? And then how do you find other stocks that you might keep adding into that list? So what I'm going to do now is after this video, I'm going to post right here, wherever it shows up here, how to go through FinViz and how to do some deeper sector rotation scans. All right. Have an awesome day, everybody. I gave you the game plan for this week. Let's see how things unfold. Watch this video coming up. I think you're going to like it. Take care. Have an awesome day.